Welcome back to LTR Gaming, and I'm Troy, and let's talk about E3 2021 this year. And it's been a very interesting E3 this year. We didn't have one last year, and for the most part, if we looked at last year's E3 turnout and predicted this year E3 turnout, a lot of us would have never assumed that Microsoft would have had their foot on Sony's neck at this particular point in time in this particular form of entertainment. But that typically seems to be the case at the moment. Microsoft is doing their thing. Microsoft won E3. Now, listen, I get it. Sony did not even participate in this fight. They didn't even come to the car show with a car ready to run because they did not even show up. While I was highly disappointed with the fact that Sony did not even decide to show up to E3 this year, I was very pleased with the showing that Microsoft showed. The acquisition of Bethesda is monumental at this point in time. It's just showing that acquisition in itself has so many different fruits that is going to be fruitful for Microsoft in the long run, and the exclusivity of those games that they're making exclusive solely for PC and for their gaming brand and console. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good idea, and I'll get into the reason why I feel that way in another video, but this is about E3. And we finally got a chance to get some new information on Starfield. I'm excited about that. Bethesda has said that this is a new engine, allegedly a revamped engine, but a new engine that's going to be used for the first time for this particular game. For Starfield, we did not see any gameplay, so I was a bit disappointed with that. But we did see CGI trailer of the actual game. It will be coming in 2022, at the end of 2022, unfortunately. So they got about 2 years. You can actually say, give or take, to finish off this game from this point going forward. And I think that at the end of the day, the fact that game is going to be exclusive to the PC and Xbox platform is very interesting. Of course, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you're going to be able to get that for free day one because it is a exclusive, which is savings in itself for gamers who are playing on that platform. And if you are playing on that platform, I mean, how great it is to be a gamer right now, especially to be an Xbox gamer. I mean, last generation, Microsoft got their throat stomped in by Sony because Sony just kept coming out with the exclusives. Now, of course, there were the multi-plat games that independent studios would create that would be on both platforms. And from time to time, you can see a development as far as the difference in the fidelity and the quality and the way that certain games ran on either or system. Sometimes they would run better on Sony, which last generation had technically an inferior console far as the hardware, but the hardware didn't matter last generation because Sony exclusives looked way better, even though Xbox had better hardware. But the hardware wasn't the issue last generation for Xbox. It was the games. There weren't enough independent exclusive games for Microsoft to compete with Sony with. So, and I was one that was a bit disappointed with Microsoft because of that. We wanted exclusive single player games. We wanted more new IPs, and Microsoft just couldn't push them out fast enough. So they then started to buy studios, and now we see the fruits of those labors in this E3 2021, and the games look beautiful. A lot of games to look forward to on the Microsoft platform side of things. And I just think that at the end of the day, Stalker 2 for me was one of those games that prior to this year's E3, the trailer that we saw initially last year, I was sold on that then. And then this year they just blew it up and just showed even more. And it just had me even more sold. And I was like, yo, just take my money already. Just take whatever little bit of money I got, my expendable money that I got. Just take it. And I just think the next 2 years, if you're looking to play where the games are going to be at so far that I can see going forward, if I had to choose a platform to play games on and to play new IPs on, I would go with the Microsoft platform at the moment. I don't know what Sony's doing. Not saying that they don't have games coming. But Microsoft is just a behemoth when it comes to being able to throw their weight around now. And we always knew that they had the resources and the money to acquire new studios and things of that nature. And we knew at some point in time they were going to have to spend that bread. And they've been throwing around their bread like no other company has before. And no one literally can compete with them when it comes to spending money. And they're buying studios left and right. And my thing is, while it's cool that they're doing that and we're going to be seeing IPs and new games and new studios that's going to be coming under their umbrella and their catalog, I wonder if they're going to continue to make their games that are now owned by them exclusive to just PC and the Xbox consoles. Because I think that is a very bad anti-consumer decision thing to do. I'm still tripping on the Bethesda games going forward in the future being, you know, PC and Xbox exclusives. Now, I have both consoles, so I'm going to be able to still play them. But I'm not just thinking from my perspective and my benefit. I'm thinking from the perspective of the guys and the girls that are playing games that aren't on the Microsoft platform, but still supported Bethesda in the past, which was an independent studio that shipped their games on multiple platforms and consoles, and you were able to experience their games regardless of what platform you supported or whatever platform you had. Typically, their games went from Nintendo to PlayStation to Microsoft to Sony. So, I mean, now it seems like that's going to be a thing of the past, and I'm just a bit concerned about going forward with the future acquisitions that Microsoft are going to be making. Is that going to be the new thing that they're going to be doing now? And people say, well, Sony got exclusive. Well, Sony has studios that they've created, studios that they, of course, bought, but they're not buying them at the quantity in which Microsoft is buying them now. And not only that, they're not buying studios that are well known to be multi-plat game developers who source their games on different platforms. Like, again, I'm wondering if Microsoft is trying to corner the market on this. Buy the biggest developers and software companies and then just make them exclusive to your brand. I think that's voiding the competition. That's not being competitive. That's actually, you know, in some ways, you know, taking the whole competition and the competitive nature out of the gaming industry. And I'm starting to think, well, I was under the likelihood of feeling like, you know, competition is best, having more than one gaming company in the realm of creating games and competing against each other is best, because it just seemed like there's only two behemoths in the gaming market right now that's really competing against each other, and that's Microsoft and Sony. I don't really look at Nintendo as an entity that's competing against these two, because they, first of all, their hardware is just not going to be able to compete. But then again, they don't make hardware to compete with Sony and Microsoft. They have IPs that are beloved, that are supported by a niche community in the crowd, and they are relevant, but they have a different type of relevance. They don't have they have a mainstream relevance, but it's more like an underground mainstream relevance that you might think of. Because while they have classic IPs such as the Mario Karts, things of the nature, so on and etc., they're not known for having the latest and greatest games that people want to play all the time. And I'm just a bit concerned now that it's just Sony and Microsoft. We don't have any other gaming company that's willing to step in the ring on the console market side to compete with them. And I just feel with Microsoft now flexing their muscle, we saw with this E3, they showed a hell of a ton of games that are going to be coming to their console, coming to their Game Pass subscription service. Now, we even know that Game Pass will be, at one point in time, we never thought it would have been able to be a subscription that you'll be able to have on your local TV app. Now it's going to be, at some point in time, institutionalized all across mainstream apps as an app that you can have on your main TV and play anywhere. You don't even have to have a console now. You'll be able to stream your games to your TV from the app. That changes everything. That changes the way we play games and the way games are delivered and the type of games that are delivered and what we can expect from Microsoft. And I don't see Sony competing with them on that level. I'm still waiting for Sony to get up off the ground and get up off the canvas. And I'm like, well, it's about to be an 8 count. When are you guys going to flex? When are you guys going to get up and say, hold on, I see what you're doing, but here's our counteract to what Microsoft is doing. And I don't see what Sony's doing. We know God of War coming, but we know that there's IPs that Sony's going to release that are exclusive that's going to sell day one. But that's not enough. That's not enough offering that they're offering their consumers compared to what Microsoft is offering their consumers. So they're going to be operating from a deficit going forward. And I'm just concerned. Microsoft has 2 consoles out that's selling well. You can get an Xbox Series S right now. You can go to Amazon, order one right now. You'll get it in a week. You can't order a PS5, whether it's the digital or the disc drive version at all. You just won't be able to get it. It's just that scarce. You can still somewhat get an Xbox Series X online to some degree, even maybe at a GameStop, quicker than you can get a PS5. And I think going forward, if Sony, by the end of this year, if they don't have a press conference where they show something that's comparable, that can ensure the gamers that, hey, they're in this for the long haul too, and they do have things that they can offer to offset what Microsoft is doing, great, then I'm on board for that. But this E3, the fact that they didn't show up, and this has been a Microsoft E3, the showing of their complete flex of their ability to make these games and buy these studios and showcase what they got going on in the future and how close these games are coming to developing into fruition. I don't see where Sony is going to be able to recover unless before this year is done, they do something very dramatic and catastrophic. Not catastrophic, but something that's very dramatic and strategic. Maybe, hey, you don't need to have PlayStation Plus to play games anymore online like you used to be able to play on the PS3 for free. That'll be a step in the right direction. I doubt if they do that, but it'll have to be something that's like, so monumental changing of the narrative of what Microsoft is doing that it make people say, hold on here, did Sony really just do that? So, I just think this E3 2021 was beautiful. It was great. I enjoyed the fact that it seems like it breathed new life and new interest back into E3, and I think Sony just doubted that and actually miscalculated how serious and how interesting this E3 was for a lot of people who probably thought that it wasn't going to be as interesting as it was. So they misjudged and miscalculated, I believe. And maybe it's the audience, maybe it's because it's a Western audience that maybe Sony felt like, they didn't need to pander to or to consider pandering to. But I'm telling you, Microsoft is doing their thing, and I hope that they continue to do their thing. But if Sony's not going to compete, then they don't stand a chance going forward in this console generation. They're starting from a deficit now at this point in time. They're quiet. They're not speaking really. They're not showing enough to bring assurance to their longtime adopters. And, that's not going to breed, good market value or to bring good hope that people can trust the vision that Sony may have going forward in the future for their particular brand. But that's to be seen, and I'll keep you guys updated on what happens. I'm Troy. This is LTR Gaming. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video on your way out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.